Here.
Councilmember Fairley,
Here.
Councilmember Osborne,
I make a motion to excuse Linda.
I'll second it.
do we need a vote?
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Motion's approved.
All right, Councilmember Thomas,
Here.
We have a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve tonight's agenda for the workshop.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The agenda's been approved. Item number 40, presentations.
yeah, it's the air conditioning units.
Back up that one. Here.
Presentations, are we going to do Gary's and ours, should we wait till grant discussion?
He's the only one on the agenda, so.
Okay, well, let's go right ahead, we'll jump in.
Well, thank you. I'm here actually for two reasons. One, I was asked to come kind of give an overview of events for the year. So I know you guys have the schedule. Look forward to things, also just get the knowledge. Make a little bit extra, then also keep a little bit extra for the kids when they come in the afternoon. A little bit of a balance game because the Y's here on Mondays and Thursdays, and they also provide activities and lunches. So then the lunches that I have extra from the seniors on Mondays and Wednesdays, I use on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So that all the food goes to good use. There's some teenagers that come in and could really use the extra food. So that's been great. We also do, the last Friday of the month is Pizza Friday, so we have Pizza Hut donates 4 pizzas. And then I also invite the police to come over just to have those positive interactions, and the kids as well.
Who does the Y provide lunch to on Monday?
What's it?
Who does the Y provide?
So what the Y does is they come, it's a Y, the program is intended for them to come, they provide activities and lunch. And it's from 3:15 to 4:45.
So that's for the kids, even
For
though
the
it's
kids.
later than lunch.
Yeah, so it's an afternoon lunch.
Okay.
They also do it in the summertime, I'll get to that. And what they will be doing is, right now, they've been coming inside quite a bit just because of the weather. Or if they only have one staff, then I'm kind of their second staff, they have to follow these rules. As the weather gets nicer, they'll be out more in the park. So they'll still service my kids or the community kids that come see me, but then they'll also extend it to the younger kids that are maybe playing on the swing sets or on the slides, those type of things, and then do that. And so then also the days that the Y's not here, I also have been getting donations from Alaska Airlines. So it'd be like all the snacks that they would get from the airlines. So as you see, I try to keep the kids fed and give some nutrition to them. And then popcorn on Fridays. Then I'm also doing the King County Band program, so you guys are familiar with that, with the black and yellow vehicles for both Pacific and Algona. Rentals have been picking up, which has been great. So got to work with that. It's funny, this last Saturday during the Easter egg hunt, they actually had 2 rentals that were crisscrossing. And I think this month there's something going on every Saturday this month. And then we do once a month we have a story time at the King County Library, and then I also do an art class. It's like a long evening art class afterwards. So we'll try to touch a lot of different age groups, as you can see throughout the month. So that's just kind of a general overview, kind of the youth. Yes.
I have a question. You said rentals.
Yep.
What do you mean?
Renting the building, yeah. So we're getting we have the wood carvers that are here every second Saturday of the year, and then we're starting to pick up on birthday parties, family reunions, things like that, to rent the space.
And that's going pretty smoothly.
It's picking up, yeah, that's going, everything's been great so far. Yeah, the keys, checking those out, people meeting, going through all the paperwork has been great.
It's just day use then, there's no nighttime activities yet.
For rentals,
Yeah.
it's always available. As soon as the building, you usually, most of the rentals that have been requested have been, Saturdays or on Sundays.
Afternoons.
Yeah, afternoons or evenings, going into the evenings, yeah, absolutely.
I will say the wood carvers have been really good. When we were leaving on Saturday, they were out there mopping the floor and getting it nice and clean for us. So they've been a great vendor for us.
My question was about that, what type of carving are they doing? It's not like chainsaw wood carving.
No, it's actual, not wood, not that, but it's really intricate. Depending on the level, it's a group that is their own nonprofit. They just happen to, they had a difficult time at their other locations. They've been with us about 2 or 3 years, and so they just run for the whole year, and they do it. It's really impressive. At different skill levels, it really, you can, if you can imagine.
Yeah, when was that, on the second what?
Saturday.
Second Saturday. I think I would like to come see that.
You should come see this Saturday. I was here, and the one centerpiece that was in the middle of the room was
It's like a castle.
mind-boggling
Yeah.
when you saw it and you thought, okay, somebody here carved this and had that mindset, because it wasn't just a block, it was inside,
Yeah.
3D. It was
What time do they meet?
10 to 2, but they usually, right now, they're a little bit lower on their group, so it's usually about 10 to 12, 10 to 1.
But super learning in high school, but that was.
Yeah, and they also help us out with other events. They help us with some donations for Easter. If there's some things like that, they take and partner with us and they're along to jump in and partner with us. Yeah, so great. Events. So as you look down half the page, and activities. I kind of categorize events as a little bit more work behind the scenes that take, and some of what I would call activities is just more of a promotional on our side. So just at Easter, this last Saturday, so you see a lot of donations from Safeway, Pure Martial Arts, Dairy Queen, Bear Queen. Had a great result from community members. We had probably close to 6,000 eggs, 50 baskets, another 40 prize bags, and I would say 97% all came through this route and not through the city. So it really helped the city out in terms of budget. So it was a great event, well attended. It was just a great time. So our next probably activity is a recycle event. You'll see Saturday, April 22nd. So that'll take up the whole parking lot. Everybody can come through, start recycling all the materials. They also did a mailer out to both the Yakima and Pacific City. So we do it in the spring, the recycle event, and then Pacific will do it in the fall. And so that will also help promote recycling for them in the fall. We have coffee with the mayor at the same time on that 22nd. Senior poker run. That's Thursday, May 18th. That's with partnership with Pacific and the Auburn Senior Center. And what that is we're connected together. Seniors can help get a ride, help drive each other. I'm trying to get somebody to take the community van for seniors, and they'll go to each location. And when they get to those locations, they pull a playing card. Basically, they're playing poker. With the prizes at the end. This year, since we only have 3 locations in terms of cities, they're going to just do a draw of 2 cards that everybody's using, whatever the 5-card step because it's small. So, but it's a lot of fun. It's meant to get the seniors out, seeing other facilities, seeing what they do. If there's an interest and enjoying that because we're really close. But also, this is good for us with Auburn and Pacific to kind of continue to work together. Blood drive, we're working with Pacific on that, so we'll be promoting a blood drive. Fishing rodeo, which is always popular. That'll be May 20th. We'll have the Puget Sound Anglers part of that. Department of Fish and Wildlife, they donate all the fish. And then Bear Pant, who has, you see their name a couple of times, through the Blue Christmas, they've actually supported Blue Christmas, supporting families the last couple of years. They said, hey, we want to be more involved. And so I said, okay, I'll keep asking until you say no. And so they have one particular person that wants to be out here from Bear Pant. So that connection has been really good. They helped us out quite a bit with Easter and taking 1,000 eggs and stuffing 1,000 eggs and then They also want to be possibly part of this grant program, and I'll explain that when we get to that point. Bike rodeo is Saturday, June 10th, and that'll be with the police department, Alberta Police Department. Same day, we'll be promoting a community yard sale, and that's with Pacific, so it's kind of like one of those things where we're trying to designate that day as, hey, if you're coming into Alberta Pacific, there's yard, that's when we want to encourage people to help cross-sell, that way there's more yard sales that get people here to stay here, is the idea behind that. We got 2 movies in the park. When I say park, we're probably using we've had a little bit more success doing the drive-in, less mosquitoes. Less mosquitoes. So we found through trial and error that when we had to do it through COVID, when we came up here onto the cement, that the mosquitoes were not as aggressive. Too far away from the water. Yeah, so on this backside, with the building, say this is the building, the doors open up, we put all the cars, we have all the police move all their cars, then people back in. Then we also will put, so it's between the projectors between the building and the shed out there. And then what happens is, then also put bleachers and chairs, people can just bring chairs and sit right there. So it's just, the ones are, it's fascinating. But it works, everybody has a good time. The Auburn School Lunch Program, that will start July 5th, and what that is they can come out, usually about 12:25 to 12:35, out to the park, and they can have food for the kids. Our summer schedule usually then is, so that's great, they come to get lunch. I open up at about 1 o'clock, so then I let them come in till 2 o'clock, and I send them back out, and that's usually when the Y is here, so then the Y is able to accept them out in the park, and they do games and activities outside, so they get outside and play. They also do a snack as well until 3:15. Then I say, okay, you can come back in until 5. So it's a good ping pong to go outside, come inside. And the pattern, the kids kind of buy into the pattern. Everybody knows what it is, so it works out really well. We're going to be offering a couple of Skyhawk sports camps. As you can see there, those are the dates and the camps that we're doing. National Night Out, Tuesday, August 1st, again with the police department. Algona Founders Day is Saturday, August 19th, 11 to 5. Pumpkin lunch. And then one thing we're looking at bringing back is we had some success prior to COVID just doing a family paint night. And that's when we bring in the artists with, basically kind of follow. She has the picture of everybody. She tells you what to do, step by step, and hopefully they create close to what we're making. And then tree lighting, and then Blue Christmas is attached to our tree lighting. And if you don't know, that's what that is. That's where the police help adopt between 5 and 7 families from the school, and then help get gifts from them, food, and kind of on Christmas Day. So that's the events and activities. Questions?
That's quite it. God help, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so this last event was wonderful with a lot of volunteers and community members, and it's always good. So yeah, these things are definitely a lot of fun, a lot of work, but then it's also great to see people jumping in when they can. So. All right, no other questions. We will go to the King County Parks Grant. So this was me now coming to you and making a request to come to you because last year, probably November, I got an email from Councilman Pete Von saying, hey, want anything in this budget for this next 2-year cycle? In this paperwork, you'll see on the next page is kind of an overview picture of the garden. And the specifics I'm talking about is going to be that gravel area. The middle of the thing, you'll see the sound garden, $25,000. This is the document that I sent to him saying, hey, this is our idea, this is what we want to do. And then you'll see his letter in the back saying, yep, approved, great. But now we're at that point where I had to call back and say, hey, what do we have to do this? And so now we're really, and I wanted to come to you guys, especially because it is something, as you can see those pictures in the back, It's something that's gonna be permanent, long after me. I wanna make sure this is something that the council wants, approves, wants to be a part of, wants to be proud of it. So let me just start a little bit, going back a little bit of the garden history. So when I first started, about 5 years ago, it was probably one of my first meetings with the Garden of Future Ones, and they wanted to put a community garden into that space. So working through that, I want to say that next year, we ended up putting the community garden. At that time, the community garden was, if you can think about it, more like a city, where maybe they don't have green spaces. Makes a lot of sense. So people can rent. Basically, what it was $25 for the year. You rent your space. We'll provide the hose and the water. You come down and you work your garden, and it's yours. Then we locked up the gates to protect everybody's space in the gardens. Then what we found was over the years is as people came down and enjoyed it, I could do this at my own house. So our numbers really dwindled in terms of, or they already had a garden at their own place. It was a little, what we found was it was a little bit difficult for people to come down to the 4x8 and do it. During that process with the garden, the school became a little bit more involved. So we have 2 4th, 5th grade classes that actually came down just recently to help clean up the garden. They'll actually put in, start to grow some seeds at their school, and they'll come down probably in May, either bring theirs or I'll give them some seeds and we'll plant some more. So really it became more of a transition from what we would normally think as a community garden with people renting the space to more, it's a community space. And so I started to see this about 2 years ago as it became really difficult to find renters. So then last year, what I ended up doing was, and the other thing that I noticed was that families that were in the park, younger kids, they would go in there with their parents, right? And they would have the flowers and the things, and you could just see them having these discussions. So it really gave me that sense of, okay, this is a great community space that could be used more to bring, kind of like a centerpiece within that park. And so then I started to add last year in some of the garden beds, we started to put raspberries, strawberries, huckleberries. The idea behind this is that, okay, now we're gonna have fruit, vegetables, and if people want to pick them, taste them, eat them, yeah, it's not anybody's space. Don't touch my stuff down. It's community space. We also introduced some grapes, so hopefully in the next couple of years, the fence line will be full of grapes. So that's the idea. Last year, when we got a grant for, we got 10,000 Parks grant, I was going to do the sound garden. Thought it would be great. But then when I walked out there, I walked over to the basketball courts, I was like, oh, these basketball courts are much bigger need, so I need to table this. So then last year, we were able to do basketball courts. So now coming back now, the sound garden is kind of the project that could be possible with this grant. So that's kind of the overview of that. So the vision of the sound garden is if you look at that space, that gravel space, and then look at maybe the last, and you can also read, I mean, obviously not now, but please read through some thoughts of why this could be really important to our youth and families. That's that little document. If you look at these last pages, and I also have some other pictures. So really, the idea is to take that gravel space and to design it in a way where it could be a path and come up to a little bit more of an opening. Maybe the garden in terms of right there is a little bit built up, more rounded. So you can still see each other. I'd love to have blueberries out there, blueberries. I saw somewhere where they did friendship forts, where you use some of the netting that goes around and you grow beans, but it creates a fort where kids can sit inside and have lunch. I've seen things where you can do sunflowers, where you get the 10, 12-foot sunflowers, and you can make a room where people can eat lunch in there. So there's a lot of different ideas on how to design that space. Within that space, the sound garden, or kind of an experience garden, are these commercial grade things where kids can actually hit it, create sound. You see some wind chimes, and this is what I sent Mr. Dietmar, some of the wind chimes, some of the bells. There's some things that look like flowers. And so that's the idea of drums. So that's the idea behind the sound garden. Then if you visualize, then kind of this great space where kids are down, on the swing sets, to be able to go in there, enjoy the park, but also be able to, create sound and kind of have a little bit like that museum, kid museum experience. So then also the potential involvement is Outback Elementary. I'm sure they would want to be involved currently with the kids that they are serving, because I've already told them about this idea. Public Works. So this year, I had a discussion with Matt and Russ and said, hey, I can't maintain the outside of the garden beds everybody needs now. So they're going to take care of all the outside of the garden beds. I'll take the inside of the garden beds. It just became a little too much. And so they're going to add that to their routine. But Matt has some wonderful ideas about building some of these things and kind of getting into it. Obviously, they would need the ones that be maintaining it too, so they would want to build it with that in mind too, or help design it. Bear Paint, one of the projects that Bear Paint has is they have volunteer time where they have to come down or to any nonprofit or any group and do like a day of caring where they get paid to do it, but then it helps them out, give back to the community. Currently, what they're doing is they don't do any events, and the money that they could be giving to staff goes back to corporate office, corporate rights, to another, as a general donation to somebody else. So they really want to be involved. So this is something that they may want to help be our laborers on the day of installing it. And then the King County Conservation District. So we have some money within their program as a small part of our taxes go to them, and they kind of hold it for us. And so we have a little bit of access to, and this would be outside of the instruments. This would be that grant. We can request more for the dirt, and the mulch and the black weed barriers, plants, those type of things. So in reality, is this really shouldn't, I don't anticipate all those things coming through. It really isn't the cost of the city. It's all going to be grant money. So that's the idea. We have so the next steps is I want to present it and let you guys think about it. Mull it over, discuss. If you have more questions, love to answer those. When I was talking to people on Wright Power's assistant, he said, yeah, the money's there. It's a 2-year budget. I would strongly suggest putting together a package by end of May to get, if you wait till next year, I can't promise, or the money that may have been reallocated somewhere else. So if you're really strongly interested in this. The other thing is he also presented, hey, if there's something different for the park grant, we can also entertain that as well. If there's a different concept or usage of it, but same idea. We kind of want to do that. And so, but I also thought it was really important to share this because it is going to be things that will be in the park that you should be well aware of and proud of, or say, hey, we want to change directions, which is okay to do. So.
What's the timeline that you're thinking? You can put your request in, but is this for like past year's work, or is this this year's work?
So what I would like to do is, I think I have, he said, give me a kind of top view. Don't have to give you a lot of details. I'll share it with him what I have. He's like, I think you may already have what I need. And then once he says yes, you can do that. And along the way, I'd like to develop a committee because I don't want to be the only one kind of making these decisions. So if there's somebody who's interested in the council to be part of that, about input, I want to be careful about too much input because we can get into too many other trails. I'd like to involve the school, whether it's saying, do you like this or this, not like, hey, it's an open idea. It's like, do you like this or this? Kind of.
Not too many choices.
Yeah, but let them be a part of that. But I'd really like, in some ways, I feel a little overwhelmed because it's almost like we have one shot at this. It's not like, in my own yard, like, if I don't like it, I can change it. No, this seems like it's, once we put these things in the ground and we kind of design it. So I want to make sure that it's just not one voice or one view, it's many. That could be, and also future-wise, there's some people that had a little bit, if we had somebody that had a little bit more design, a better feel for it. The gentleman so we got the bid from Berg he had some ideas about, spacing, but yeah, just for noise, put one here, put this here. And then we can build it out. So that's the idea behind this. To go back to your question, Bill, it would be, hoping to get at the same time, if I get approval, and I don't get approval tonight, if you guys, by the next meeting on the 24th, if you guys make a decision or a thought, then I can start working on my top-down review, send it to them. If they're in agreement, yes, this is a good plan, then I would start to develop a committee. We already got a bid for some of the things. The bidding process is the purchasing, unless it's a supply thing, I can't see, and then the money comes through, probably midsummer, the fall. But I also don't want to rush it. I don't also want to rush it and be wrong. So.
It sounds like it's a very good project, and I feel very good about it, so hopefully we get people on.
Yeah, do we have to wait another meeting to approve? Does anybody have I mean, so you said you're start the process?
It's just for your FYI. Yeah.
I just,
He's just keeping you in the loop. We're gonna move forward. We're gonna move forward.
Thank you for moving forward.
Yeah.
Since you're here, I have some other follow-up questions. Not on the sound part specifically, but related to playground upgrades, because I brought this up in previous meetings. Do you know the last time we upgraded the playground
I don't think the playground is in my
review?
purview.
Okay.
The garden became mine just through future work with FutureWise. And the basketball court, like I said, my first initial thought was, oh, I'm going to $10,000 do it. The garden, I'm doing this. And then I literally walked out and saw the basketball court and said, all right, I'm going to rewrite my thoughts. We need to do that. So that was, I was already involved with that King County Transit. It just made sense for me to just keep my name on there and move over to the process for the sport court. But in terms of all the equipment,
Okay.
And you're well.
Good to know. Yeah, so just while we're all in the same room and having a workshop, just to float that idea for later, we'll put it on the agenda to formally speak about it, but just looking into what we have budget-wise, I know Terry mentioned he had some money set aside for playground updates, and so I'd like to look into that, to get some ADA updates, the swing slides, and just updating it. I think when I researched it, it was put in 88, or 81.
Yeah, last year the improvements consisted of $5,000 worth of beauty part, which I wasn't counting on that costing that much. And then they replaced some of the swings, but that's just maintenance. That's not really upgrading it to something different, if that's what you're asking for.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Configuration's been there since I moved into town because.
Yeah. And there's a park issue that probably should be part of a executive session to discuss later. So.
Noted. Okay. Just throwing that out there and we'll meet later,
But as we get ready for next year's budget process, if you say, hey, we want to make an addition to the park and we want to invest, I think we just asked for in this year's budget, just maintenance stuff, the beauty bar, based on last year's cost. But remember, before you know it, budget season's gonna be here, and in July, we're gonna have our first budget meeting together. And so those are great things to put on the priority list and start talking about. So.
One thing I would say about your sound garden there is, me being an old guy and taking 10 grandkids to the park, just benches.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, I mean,
Benches.
yeah, benches.
What's that little rolling fruit that you pick with?
Not yet, but I'm probably one more knee surgery away.
I think, if I remember correctly, the King County Conservation District will not pay, or their grant will not pay for benches. But I think if you have logs and different natural, then for some things, but I would agree.
Flat spots.
And then,
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of parks, there is some exploration about purchasing a couple other pieces of property in the north end of town just for parks. So, and flood mitigation, but a park.
And when you're looking at parks, this is not the one that has those outdoor structures, with the little pocket parks there.
Yeah.
So those
At least 20 years ago.
Yeah, they get well used, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It's wonderful, it's wonderful to see. Kids out there.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the information.
Very interesting.
I would be interested in being involved in that.
Great, thank you.
So for,
I gotta be involved somehow. Everybody else is hopeless.
for formality's sake, I wanna go through the agenda, so we did presentations and we included, Gary's presentation, but we don't have any ordinances or resolutions. We finished our discussion items with Gary's statements, and it is audience participation time. I'm gonna read this even though we have no audience members present, but this is the time for audience members to speak for 3 minutes on any issue. Topics will be directed to the appropriate department. Anybody else? Okay. That is it, unless any of the council members have anything else to add. Okay, so we will adjourn the meeting at 6:31.